And welcome back from our technical difficulty. We apologize. So if you caught the very beginning,
You didn't miss
Welcome
much.
again.
Yeah.
Welcome again.
we fumbled the ball. It happens every
it
now and then.
happens.
All right, so getting back into what's going on tonight, we've got the Morgan interview, which is a phenomenal story.
Great story. Yeah. Came all the way down here from Wausau, as I was just saying before. Cool girl. She's super funny too. Shout out Morgan.
Yeah, and she does
stand-up comedy.
She does stand-up comedy, but she lost 200 pounds in an amazing journey, got off of opiate prescriptions, and jumped into utilizing THC, and it changed her life in such a positive way. So it's a really, really cool interview. We've got weedology, and then, of course, we've got some customer questions.
Yep. Sent out a company-wide email to some customers of ours, and they came back with some nice questions that we'll just answer a few of them. So.
Yeah.
And then we've got a big shout out to VCU. They're our sponsor tonight. A student at VCU. Let me rephrase that.
Yep.
A student at VCU did a really cool commercial for a project.
Should we tell them where VCU is in case some of our viewers do not know?
We should. VCU is in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes, just right down the road.
Correct.
From our dispensary in Richmond.
Yeah, big shout out to VCU and all their students.
And shout out Virginia, our Virginia store, which is highlighted in the
Miss
commercial.
Sarah is speaking from our RVA store.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job of getting that all put together. So do we have a commercial that we're teeing up on that right now?
Here we go.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the largest hemp-derived cannabinoid dispensary in the nation. The dispensary specializes in alternative and hemp-derived products outside of traditional marijuana, such as Delta-8 and Delta-10 THC and THCP. All you need is an ID. No medical card required.
The dispensary is important to not just me, but hundreds of people in the community. They come to us almost daily for assistance with sleep, anxiety, all sorts of ailments that cannabis helps them with.
With daily deals, the dispensary helps you get the best benefits for your buck. The dispensary, bringing comfort and quality through education, one cannabinoid at a time.
Welcome back to the Dispensary Live. Now we are going to move on to our special guest, Miss Morgan.
Hi,
How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's awesome. Brandon, as I was explaining, I met her up in Wausau, Time and Cellar, right not too far. It's actually in the same parking lot as our dispensary location up in Weston.
Thank you for joining us. That's
Thanks for having me.
A bit of a drive. Thank you for coming in, checking us out on the podcast.
It was a good drive.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, she said there's a bunch of traffic backed up on the other side, so good thing she's not heading out right now, coming in. Yeah, Time and Cellar, though, very cool facility. I love the food. It's probably my favorite place in all of Weston and the Wausau area. Coming in, I have to compliment like everything about Mike's facility. It's awesome. So
how did you guys get started about the dispensary?
I saw the stickers on his laptop, and I'm such an avid user of the products and a believer in them that I asked him about them.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes when we're out a lot. Like, no joke, we'll be out and somebody might notice a logo or a sticker and be like, hey, I know that place. So that does happen. That's awesome, though, that happened.
Yeah, she was very open. She just said, do you guys work with the dispensary? We're like, yeah, we do, actually.
Very cool.
And I was like, oh, you use the product?
How did you tell about the story? How did you get started in that conversation?
I kind of word vomited all over him because I got so excited.
Yeah.
I am
awesome.
I am such an avid user of the products. I am chronically ill. I know I look really healthy now, but the product helps me get here. I used to be over 315 pounds in the last 2.5 years, 3 years-ish. I've dropped all of that weight and gained a lot of muscle. And the products help me do that in the first place. Just get my mind right, help with my mental health a little bit. And then once I did lose the weight, I realized I'm chronically ill. I have something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS. One is a connective tissue disorder. One is a heart issue. And a lot of times they just want to throw pharmaceuticals at you. However, I found that natural medicine is the best thing for me out there. And I have 11 doctors, and all of them have agreed that this is the route that's best for me to take right now. And so whenever I see somebody with a logo or talking about natural medicine, I really just jump right on in there.
And she did. I was like, she's super high energy. I was like, I loved her energy. It was fantastic. But I guess you're telling us a little bit about, what you've been through, but tell us about you first and like what got you to that point. How did you figure it all out? Like, start us at the beginning if you would.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised up in Minocqua, Wisconsin by a single father. I was a very serious dancer. And when I went away to college, I stopped dancing. I let my mental health get the better of me, and I packed on a lot of weight. It was just a physical representation of what was happening to me mentally, internally.
You said 315 pounds?
I was 315 pounds.
I can't picture. I mean, you look about 100 pounds right now.
No, definitely was that way. And like I said, it was just my mental illness had gotten the better of me. And I tried everything that I could to change it. I tried the keto diet. I bounced around for 10 years. I had a child within that time, and nothing worked. And it wasn't until I started using plant medicine and getting psychiatric help that I realized it's a mind, body, spirit thing. So all at once, when I was 24, my father suddenly passed away from a heart attack, which was pretty traumatic. Decided that I needed to change my life. It didn't happen overnight. It took about 6 years for me to get it into gear. And then once I did, I started working out a little bit at home with YouTube, just doing stuff inside my house, eating just a little bit better. I'd stopped taking some of the pharmaceuticals they were throwing at me and switched to plant medicine, started working on mind, body, spirit. And as I got better, the weight fell off. It all happened instantaneously. I tried doing everything everyone else's way for so long, and it wasn't until that I went a more natural route that I actually saw results.
And we have a couple of photos that we're going to put up here, so that way so the viewers can get a chance to see the befores and afters. And I also have to ask, you said it took like 6 years to get it in gear. In that 6 years, because like finding that focus, finding that center, and what really pushes us past that limit of being different than society, what pushed you in that 6 years? Like, what drove you to be different?
I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. If I wanted change, I needed to make change. What you do when you don't want to do it makes you who you are. So pick who you want to be. It really took a long time for me to get my mental health right before I could do anything else. So that 6 years I really took to reflect and figure out that it's not about being skinny, it's about being healthy. And that took a really long time for me. But because it took so long and I did it so long and slow, it has stuck.
I think that's amazing, because one of the big things, these guys hear me even talk about it, you can let outside factors define who you are, or you yourself can define who you are and not care about those outside factors. And I think it's just, it sort of gives me the chills. Like, it's awesome. Your story is just not only motivating because of the products, but because meeting people who get to that level where uncomfortable is comfortable. I love that. I tell these guys all the time, find your discomfort and then go after it and chase that all the time.
Shout out to the book club. We just also talked about that in the company book club.
That's awesome.
So like we have
But no, I think it's really cool that you defined your own path, and even to be here and meeting you, like, everybody's got their different beliefs on what it is, and I don't believe in coincidence. So.
Oh, either do I. Everything for a reason. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So this is going on. You're like, I'm going to make change. Then you said you had a child in there as well.
Yes. So when I was 23, I got pregnant, had her at 23. My dad passed away at 20 when I was 24. I lived in that, I kind of think of a no man's land for 6 years. And at 30, I decided when the pandemic hit, I needed a huge change. So I left my husband, who I'd been with for 12 years. I changed my whole life. I focused more on work and working out and eating well and taking care of my mind, body, spirit. And I dropped my old friends. I completely changed my whole life around and became the person I always wanted to be. And it was then that I realized that life doesn't have to be the hand that was dealt to you. You can make it what you want to be.
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's what goes down all the time here.
So you gave two different types of diseases.
Yes.
I am by no means a chemist, right?
Yeah, no worries.
And maybe Brandon can say those big words.
No, she was giving me a little bit.
They're pretty rare. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
So POTS is pretty common, and that stands for postural orthostatic trachyardia syndrome. what it kind of means is that my blood vessels don't work the way that they're supposed to. When I'm sitting, my heart rate is about 70. When I stand up, it goes up to about 145.
Really?
Yep. And my blood pressure will drop. And sometimes I pass out. Usually I just get a little woozy and faint. But it can get pretty rough. Along with that, I have I can't say it very well, but my whole body system doesn't work. So I can't control. Dysautonomia, I believe it's called. I can't control my body temperature, sweating. It also affects my GI. That's all part of Ehlers-Danlos. Like I said, together, Danlos syndrome is a disorder. So
what does that mean?
Oh gosh, sorry. The best way
we do
I
it all the time.
Yeah.
can describe it is I can do the skin thing. Like connective tissue is literally all over your body. So it affects my bones, my eyes. I am scoliosis a couple places, legally blind, partially deaf. I dislocate everything pretty often. And so we just have to like pop her back into place. Gastroparesis, the list goes on. I'm technically disabled, but it doesn't feel like that because I do take such great and amazing care of myself.
Okay. So you utilize THC to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So when did you find out THC played an impact on you? And I'll just start with that. When did you learn that THC was going to be your new venture?
So I actually started using the products before I was diagnosed. Around 2020 is really when I started working on my mind, body, spirit. So I started using the products in the morning for inflammation. When I'd wake up, I knew I was in pain. So I would use a little bit of the smokables in the morning. And then in the afternoon, when the inflammation would come back and I needed just a little bit more focus and I was outside of the house, a gummy would come in really handy. At night, oil would really bring down the inflammation as well. On top of that, I've noticed that it's helped my gastro issues immensely. So I kind of did it a little, not as much as I do now. That's when I started tapering into it. When I had my 5 pounds of extra skin removed last March is when I really started ramping up the products and my healing is insane. I have a pretty large social media following and nobody has seen results like mine. And I fully believe it's because I had THC in my system to help regenerate those cells. My scar is pretty much not there. And they work for everything. Absolutely all day, every day.
Just got to know favorite products.
Favorite products. Ooh. I would say
I was going to ask.
I would say flower. Honestly, I really like the fact that you get all the full spectrum of the plant in there. And it hits multiple different things. As soon as I use it, I can kind of hear everything crack and fall back into place because that inflammation goes down.
Welcome to the largest hemp-derived cannabinoid dispensary in the nation. The dispensary specializes in alternative and hemp-derived products outside of traditional marijuana, such as Delta-8 and Delta-10 THC and THCP. All you need is an ID. No medical card required.
The dispensary is important to not just me, but hundreds of people in the community. They come to us almost daily for assistance with sleep, anxiety, all sorts of ailments that cannabis helps them with.
With daily deals, the dispensary helps you get the best benefits for your buck. The dispensary, bringing comfort and quality through education, one cannabinoid at a time.
So when it came down to it, like you had mentioned the regeneration, Arnold Schwarzenegger, long time ago when he was lifting and winning all of his awards and accolades for what he was doing in powerlifting, said that THC was rejuvenative for him. So when you bring that up, did you notice anything even from strength? I know you and I off the record had said something a little bit earlier about being able to lift weights now and being able to do more.
Yes. So back in December, when I got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I was extremely sick. I had lost about 25 pounds of muscle in 8 months. I was in and out of the emergency room with passing out and going faint. I was unable to work. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And then I started using the products even more and ramping up things like my salt intake and lowering gluten, and everything put together has put me back to more of a baseline. I can hold myself up. I can do jumping jacks again. I can use my weights again. I climbed a rope the other day when I couldn't even climb a flight of stairs 5 months ago.
So do you still have any of the fainting issues?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I definitely had one yesterday when I was at work, and I had to have my manager step in and run some food. And my medicine that I take is salt, which is kind of funny, but I just took a salt tablet and gave it about 5-10 minutes. But because I have product in my system already built up, when I do hit a flare, I don't go down for the count. I regenerate very quickly with just a little bit of rest, and I was able to go out and rock the rest of my shift.
And a hot topic, not only around the state, around the nation, is legalization and a standardization for marijuana and THC products. You had mentioned already in 2020 is when you ventured down the path into THC.
Yes.
May I ask, like, were you buying it through a dispensary or were you buying it like off the streets?
I was not buying it off the streets. I was buying it through a dispensary, but it was not in Wisconsin.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
Now, you were living in Wisconsin in 2020?
Yes, I was.
So you're one of the naughty kids at that time.
I actually had CPS called on me.
Really?
It's crazy to think about it, but yeah, I'm very prominent in my community with my kiddo. She's got awards from the mayor. We do a bunch of wonderful things, and yet my neighbors had said that I was using products outside at night in a detached garage, and called CPS on me. However, because they did come from a store and they were Delta 8, everything was fine. But to have that nervousness of somebody possibly coming after my child because I was trying to medicate in a natural way is terrifying. No parent should ever go through that.
I'm sorry, how long ago did I miss how long ago was this?
I want to say that was 2020.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not too long ago.
So let me ask you real quick, you being a parent, we've had, and I just had a conversation with a police officer today about this, in some of the regulation that we're trying to mandate. But as a parent, how do you feel about THC products as a parent if you were going to provide THC products to a child?
So as a parent, I wouldn't, not until they're 18 or 21. I am very, very strict, just for the legality reasons alone right now. I'm really strict about how I use products. Products are not used when my kid is around me. It's an after she goes to school before work. It's an after she goes to bed in somebody else's home. Because if I were to ever be faced with that situation again, even though it is legal, I'm terrified. I live in fear of balancing legality and my disabilities, and that's not fair.
So I'm going to throw a curveball then, and I'm going to say, now maybe we're biased because of the industry, but with my background, I would say I fear more of prescription medications.
Oh, so that too.
Because so CPS, let's use CPS as a prime example here. CPS says, okay, it's great for a doctor to prescribe you whatever type of medications. On top of that, a Percocet or something of that nature. Which, what does it say on the side of every bottle?
Oh.
Don't operate heavy machinery. Oh, excuse me. Don't do anything like don't even drive a car, right? But during the day, how many thousands of people just in the state, due to back pain or other things, are driving technically under the influence? But notice CPS doesn't get called on those people when they're taking prescription medication.
That's
the worst. If I could provide it for her and know that it would be fine, I would be the first parent to give her that medicine, because she also has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's genetic. She has all of the same issues that I do, and yet I can't give her the medication that helps me. And that hurts as a parent to say, this helps me, but you can't have it, honey. Like, that's just not fair.
Have you ever tried like full spectrum CBD?
We have, and it worked, but with her being on Adderall for her ADD, anything that would possibly show up, again, terrifies me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I transitioned. Actually, it was sort of a battle with my son's mother about my son was on ADHD medication, and he was incredibly tiny. Brandon could vouch. My son was still like midget because he was stuck on
got
Vyvanse.
much bigger, yeah, since then.
Yeah. within 60 days of being off Vyvanse and us switching him to full spectrum CBD, I want to say he was 15 at the time. He sprouted. Now, granted, males at 15, 16 have those growth spurts, but he was like the smallest in his class. And a lot of people were like, oh, you're putting your son on devil's lettuce or CBD. This is unheard of. And I was like, it's CBD. It does have traces of THC, but I noticed a huge difference, not only in behavioral patterns, even he didn't have the big shadows under his eyes. He didn't look like he had not slept all night. And that's why I wanted to ask, like you had mentioned your daughter, I did not know that it was genetic and had passed on.
Yeah.
So that even get into that, that's why I wanted to ask, because where that leads to is we recently just turned a customer away because they came in, they're like, hey, my kid's in the car, and they wanted to buy product for their child. And in our facility, we have the right to refuse, but our bud tenders are trying to follow a very legal protocol to protect from it being passed on to minors. And in that situation, we were like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, we're not going to serve you because you openly said you're going to give it someone else. In any legal state, which are 38 of them, either medical and or recreational, if you say that you are purchasing it for someone else or going to mail it, they will kick you out of the facilities. So we are following those similar practices right now. In your opinion as a parent, and Brandon about to be a parent, do you feel we should continue to follow that policy?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, it's going to protect you. It's going to protect the business. It's the same way as if you were to sell alcohol to somebody and they say, we're going to go give it to our kid. It's irresponsible.
Devil's advocate, then mom has to go somewhere on the street to buy that product.
Ooh, good call. Good call. I do like the flip of the perspective.
Because now here, at least this is third party tested. We put all of our stuff. We make all of this, so we know what's in it. We have all the certificates of analysis to back it up. We know exactly every part of the process that goes into it. But now mom can't get it for her kid, so now she might buy it from someone who's making it in a garage.
That's terrifying.
Isn't it?
I mean, Wisconsin is so behind the times. It would be nice if everything could just be legal and we could provide our children with the medication that they deserve.
Right.
Until it gets to that point, it's just a really sticky situation.
So now with me flipping that script, though, do we sell it here?
That's rough. I don't know.
Like, what do you mean? Here at our store?
Well, like, yeah, let's say if we turn mom away here, and now,
for the, yes.
right, and now she wants to buy it for kids, now she'll end up going to a street dealer or somewhere. So even though we said, yes, we're doing it for the law purposes, at what point in time do we say, okay, it's up to a parent?
Welcome to the largest hemp-derived cannabinoid dispensary in the nation. The dispensary specializes in alternative and hemp-derived products outside of traditional marijuana, such as Delta 8 and Delta 10 THC and THCP. All you need is an ID, no medical card required.
The dispensary is important to not just me, but hundreds of people in the community. They come to us almost daily for assistance with sleep, anxiety, all sorts of ailments that cannabis helps them with.
With daily deals, the dispensary helps you get the best benefits for your buck. The dispensary, bringing comfort and quality through education, one cannabinoid at a time.
Because there's many things that have been talked about.
Just started having a conversation today about underage drinking parties as well. And
Right.
then what happens if like you get caught doing that and that whole process, but very similar situation. I still have repercussions for
But
doing that
even
here.
you and I were with a law enforcement agency giving a presentation, and one of the drug recognition officers was like, well, if I do my job really well, I'll get it all off the streets. Well, that's great, but there's always a dealer to buy something off the street.
I just think there should be practices that are almost exactly similar to alcohol. And outside of that, it's like just like school or anything beyond that. It's like it's up to the parent as well to put in the effort and time to not allow their kid to think that way,
But
to begin that way.
But I feel that I feel it's imperative that if you want to provide something for your child, it should be safe. And I would, if my son at 18 even said, hey, I want to get high, I'm not gonna sit back and be like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you any. Like more than likely have a negotiation about, first of all, let's figure out why. Is there a medical benefit, or do you just want to experience it for the first time? But then I also would be like, I have to take into account, if I say no, he's just going to go to high school and he's going to talk to a couple friends and he's going to have something. And right now, fentanyl is at a crazy spike, and it's even included in marijuana products now out on the streets. Do I want to risk my son to have to pick up a product that could be contaminated with something else? I don't.
Well, you still got to have a conversation with your child about it, and like be honest and open about it. And that in terms of cannabis and the products that we're talking about, there's, as far as we know, at least not tons of threat to it. It's not killing. So, honest conversation. I would have an honest conversation with Sadie about it. I will at some point. We've actually already talked about how we're going to handle that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So back to you, Miss Morgan, on the topic of products. And then, so what are you using, or what do you like of, I guess, the dispensary products, like that we can brand that
She
one.
told us the flower. It's our
Absolutely. So, I mean, I use it all, though. It's not just the flower.
Yeah.
The flower is what I like in the morning because that does have the best anti-inflammatory products for me, or properties. So I'll use it right away in the morning and feel all of my joints. You can actually hear them pop back into place, which is pretty interesting.
Right.
And it gives me a good amount of energy for the day. I'm usually going for a sativa, so that's a nice uppity. We're getting things done during the day. Around 1 or 2, I'll kind of start feeling the pain creep back in. And that's where a lot of doctors will want to throw some pharmaceuticals at you. I take a gummy instead.
Gummies.
And then
Gummies.
go ahead and just ride out the rest of the day. I feel great until I'm about to go to bed.
So, Miss Morgan, I have to ask, what does your boyfriend do?
My boyfriend is a pharmacist.
Okay. So being a pharmacist, I find that we were talking about, a lot of different prescription medications. What does your boyfriend say about the THC versus prescription medication? And you don't have to call him out.
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma? Yeah, no. It's nice to actually have his support. He can't utilize any of the products, but he also doesn't have anything that he would medically need to, like I do. It's beautiful to see the progress that I've had, and knowing that I'm obtaining all of the goals that I have without any of the side effects of Big Pharma. He tells me, often what I would be experiencing from these side effects if I were to take these medications, and the amount of pain I'm avoiding by not doing that. So he fully supports it.
Nice. It's good to hear that.
I figure that's got to be, so for our viewers, they should know. Miss Morgan, if you want to give a shout out to even your, you do stand-up comedy.
I do. I'm just getting back into the stand-up comedy. I don't have any online yet. I have a show coming up in a couple of weeks here in San Diego, but I do a lot on TikTok and Facebook.
Like I said, I don't know how to use TikTok.
It started as a fun hobby, and then I fell into some followers.
It's like a physical location stand-up too. Like you go to actual bars or like nice venues. Sweet.
Can
we get you a show?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be doing some here. I think even in Wausau coming up soon.
Really?
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
One of our anniversary parties, we're going to get you to come do. We like raw comedy. You said you do raw
I'm here
comedy.
for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, we love
live music and comedy.
Yeah, that would be
awesome.
Beautiful. As long as nobody's offended, I'm good.
Nice.
No, and if they are, we don't care. It's all right.
That's okay.
So how'd you find the dispensary? You're in, you're up north a little bit from here, and our dispensary is over there. But how'd you find us? I mean,
you open next door to me.
Okay.
We share a parking lot.
That's true.
Very close.
It's hard to miss, and especially when you're so passionate about medical medicine. Sorry, when you're so passionate about natural medicine and something that comes into your area, you get super excited. The moment you guys opened, you had promos and everything, and I was right there. So it was nice.
Nice.
What I liked in our first engagement, you even made some comments about our products, and you had already spoken with some of our bud tenders and recognized some of the clarity, and you referenced COAs.
Yes.
And you were talking about the actual medical components of THC, and you have a friend who's a chemist?
Yep. She's a biochemist, and she works out in California doing quality assurance for large manufacturing plants.
So is that how you knew all your information up front?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
She came out of the box, asked me some good questions.
Nice.
She knew that we do double runs in our short path distillation. She knew a lot of information about our product, and I was like, all right, girl, you got this. And I was like, stalking us a little bit.
No, that's good. That's awesome.
Low key.
That's awesome.
I actually thought it was impressive because that's something
Education.
Yeah, so we talk about Weeducate. It's sort of like this.
I
whole-
love that.
Right? Like, and of these weed responsibly signs, like
Yes.
we mean it because there's a lot of companies out there, especially in THC, that are just trying to make $1. And we started out with a real big mission because we actually want to benefit people for different purposes. Now there is like your benefit and my benefit of even what got me into CBD and the run on with it. There's other people that just want it for anxiety, just to chill a little bit. There's other people that want it for a Friday night party so they can giggle, laugh, and eat 3 bags of Doritos. Also my problem if I consume because I just get really hungry. You use THC to lose weight. If I eat THC, somehow I can clear out an entire refrigerator in a night. So
It's a mentality thing. Hear me out. If you prep a bunch of really healthy, fresh, like
You'll eat it.
snacks and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
you'll just sit down and go to town on those. It's just a little bit of prep.
And they're still delicious too.
So good.
Yeah,
one night
that's
I
good.
was so desperate. I was like, all right, I know how to make frosting. I have all the baking ingredients to make frosting because I don't have junk food. Like for people that definitely know me, I live a pretty healthy lifestyle. I too like to work out, all this stuff. And
Besides the Culver's cheeseburger today.
yeah, the Culver's cheese. He talked me into a Culver's. He's like, "Do you want Culver's?" I'm like, "No, I'll just do my typical salmon or something." And all of a sudden, I was like, "Double cheese, butter burger,
Yeah,
Culver's." I was
yeah.
like, "I'm gonna pound that thing
Yeah.
like it's my
You
job."
sure did.
You have
I
to
did.
support
You
the
sure
boys in
did.
blue.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, today was a day or something about that with Culver's, but
Was it?
yeah, there's something with giving back today with
Oh,
Culver's.
I crushed that burger. So.
Oh, FFA? Yeah, that's what
Oh,
that's
the FF. Okay, Future Farmers of America.
I believe
Love
that.
it.
If
Yeah.
you're not familiar, not the federal, not the FAA.
I was like, oh no.
a lot of people confuse FFA for FAA, which so when I was in FFA as a high school student.
Oh, my kid's in 4-H.
Okay, see, that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
It's for kids. I think it's great. Brandon's going to get the journey down that path.
Oh yeah.
I
I told
love it.
him his fun years are gone though. Like you're strapped for the next 5-6 years.
Oh, yeah. No, you get it back at like when they turn 7.
Excellent. Perfect.
And you know what he did? He bought a puppy before having the baby.
Oh, no.
Oh no,
Right,
it's
see?
good. He's a great pup. He's a great pup.
He-
I'll shout out Aggie right now.
He
He's a
actually
great
says
pup.
he's the devil all the time.
But
And there's
I'm hard
people-
on him. I'm hard on him. He's actually really good. You should have met Will's pup.
Yeah, my pup's a little different, but
Yeah.
my pup also didn't pee in Brandon's office.
Oh no, that's true. He did other things.
All right, so there's other things. You had made a mention that you and your daughter do some really cool things for the community,
Yeah.
but through some research on you, we found out you actually give a lot back to not only veterans, but you've got a good track record. Tell us about why you give back and what got you on that path.
Absolutely. So when I was my most mentally ill, I found out that when I help other people, I was truly helping myself. So I started giving back, and it's something that my dad used to do, and it was my way of keeping his memory alive with my kid. And I started working with some of our elderly people. We go up and visit them every Saturday and give them hugs and little kisses and hang out with them. Then we learned about the honor flight, which is, for people who don't know, they take a airplane full of veterans, head them out to Washington, D.C. They let them see all the monuments. They bring them back home. And when they come home, there are thousands of people lining the airport. And we're shouting welcome home with them. A lot of these guys are Vietnam vets who did not get the welcome home that they deserved. They went and fought for us and lived through hell and then came back to hell. So now we're giving them the honor and the respect that they deserve. Someone we know went on the flight, and it was the most beautiful experience. And afterwards, my kid asked me in sign language, because she didn't speak yet, when we would be doing the next one. And I told her we only went when we would meet someone. And she said that sounds silly. So we've gone to every single one since then.
Nice.
And that would be 11 of them. And on top of that, we do a lot to help out the vets throughout the whole year. So we're writing them letters, we're going and visiting them, we're raising funds for the honor flight or awareness for it, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
That is amazing. It's wonderful to hear someone, especially not affiliated to the military, myself being a military guy. It's a special breed of individual to do that. And even like Brandon and Nikki and some of the staff here, Tom, our HR guy, I served with him along with Cliff, but even Brandon for this Memorial Day thing we're working on. Brandon has stepped out of the ranks multiple times. Nikki, huge in managing all sorts of different events that we've put on to try and give back, and to get civilians always means so much to me. And when you're talking about this honor flight, got me a little choked up because I've been to a couple of those ceremonies, and I've also had a couple of those flights coming back to America. And when I talk to a World War II vet or a Vietnam vet, like we have parades for us, and it's so different coming back because even the benefits and how they treat us is so different. And our war, to me, when I hear the stories, and it's unfortunate, I don't meet any World War II vets anymore. Just recently met actually our store manager in Weston. Her father is a Korean War vet.
Okay.
And I was doing the math on that, and I asked her, and I was like, he's got to be like 87, 88. And she's like, yeah, he was born in the 30s. And to meet him was awesome. And it means a lot. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for giving back, because it's just awesome. You are a good person, your journey, everything you've had so far.
Thank you. It's
Awesome.
It's nice to be able to share it with people. We have a really good community.
Well, we're trying something. We've got our running to remember coming up for Memorial Day.
Yep.
It's a first annual thing over at Fort Howard Memorial Park here in Green Bay. And Brandon did all the logos. He's pulling everything together for it. It's a cool couple small businesses all trying to get together so we can remember what Memorial Day is about. Too often, many people get caught up with it's just a day of the soldiers or veterans that had passed. And sometimes I think it's great to remember certain individual stories as a person, because it's a big blanket when you see a pair of boots with a rifle and dog tags hanging. And that's never easy for a veteran. Taps makes me cry. I can't get past it. I don't cry for anything, but if you play taps, I'm done. Like I need to borrow a whole sweater. And doing events and seeing civilians come and support, especially those guys that didn't get that home, that welcoming home ceremony. It's, if you've never seen it, for the audience, if you've never been there,
Go.
it's impossible not to shed a tear for those veterans. They're not young anymore. They can't go out and take those challenges, but those memories that they get, just you've seen it in their faces. And these hardened individuals, where at first you think it's like an episode of Grumpy Old Men, when they're all getting on, they all come back, and it's a total different dynamic.
They're amazing. They're fantastic. I mean, I feel like every parent should take their kid at least once. It's a great way to teach them about honor, respect, and history.
Well, thank you for being an awesome person. Thank you for being on this show.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for using our products. I'm so glad that they are helping you. That is the most for us. It's the rewarding part of this business.
Thank you for providing them for people like me. You seriously changed lives.
Hey guys, Ashton here back at the dispensary, and today I'm going to be just going over a little bit of how we actually are able to make flour, or actually like sell the flour to you guys. So as you know, everything that we do here is going to have to be hemp derived for it to be federally legal. So in front of me I have some of our Delta 8 flour, and essentially the way that we are able to produce this flour, or get this flour, is we take the actual hemp plant, or the CBD flour, and we extract the very small amounts of Delta 8 THC, or whichever THC we want at that point. We extract it out into a higher concentrate distillate, and then from there we infuse it, or it's technically like spray it back onto the flour, and that essentially works by us doing it during the curing, or rather the drying process. So if the flour is at a certain percentage of humidity and we spray the distillate on there, it'll actually kind of soak it up. So that is actually what gives you the effects when you smoke our flour. So obviously flour is super versatile. We also have a really wide selection. So in front of me I just have 2 of our top shelf Delta 8 flours, which are super nice for if you're going to go and break it up or grind it up, that sort of thing. You can just throw it into your favorite water pipe you have at home, or if you are a wraps person, you can wrap it in whatever you really prefer at that point. And then if you're looking for something a little bit more portable, or a little bit less of you do it yourself, we actually do the work for you. We have an assortment of pre-rolls that you might be able to see behind me on the shelf. Those will all be the full gram pre-rolls, and then we do also have half gram pre-rolls, which we call our dog walkers, and that's actually a tin of 5 half gram pre-rolls, and that's in our THCP flour. So that's super nice for the higher tolerance users, or just the people that are looking to take it and go on the go with it. So definitely stop in and check out our flour, guys.
And welcome back to the Dispensary Live. Miss Nikki, Mr. Trevor, our Regional South Manager of Wisconsin, here to help answer customer questions today.
Glad to be here.
Glad.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for
Thank you,
coming in.
Morgan, for that lovely story.
That was a fantastic
Great
story.
interview. Yeah,
Well,
great story.
But let's hear our customers always have questions, and we always promise them that we will give them feedback. So let's hear what some of these customer questions are.
Yeah, absolutely. So to start off, we're going to start off with a customer named Patrick. He was asking, are we hiring at our Richmond, Virginia store? To be honest, everything across the stores is a little sporadic, but we have a careers page on our website, the d8dispensary.com. That is a great place to start off with trying to see if there's any openings at any stores. So I would recommend that to start.
Yeah.
And we're on LinkedIn too, I think.
No, indeed.
Or Indeed.
Indeed.
I always get
Indeed.
that backwards. Yeah. Hashtag Indeed.
Yeah.
Miss Nikki.
I have no idea what my question is. So, yeah. My question comes from Nancy. Edible cookies, and can you get stronger edibles? I don't know which state or which area this is coming from, but for the D9 edibles, we can't go over on the gummies, the 200 milligram, because it's a dry weight. So if I had to make a gummy any bigger, the gummy is going to be like this big for one dosage, and we're just really unfeasible for anyone to do that. We do have stronger in the D8 and the D10. We have up to 1,000 milligram package of gummies. So that's 100 milligrams per gummy. So that's actually pretty strong. We do have a syrup coming out for the D8, D10, as well as the Delta 9. So we will have that as a new edible that we will be releasing soon.
And the cereal bars. The cereal bars always, those things are
Don't need
Yeah.
strong by weight.
Yeah,
They-
don't need
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for those.
Yeah. Well, and there's always the peanut butter cup. Best bang for your buck there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Get a few of those and you'll be set.
Yeah.
If you buy them in a 3-pack, it's cheap.
Yes, it is.
Go with a 5-pack at that point.
No,
That's
true.
just me. Yeah, so up next is going to be one of our customers named Tammy V. She was asking, is it possible to get my points to my son's account? So I'm going to take it as the rewards points. Usually what we recommend is using up all of your points first, and then if you want to start using one joint account, do that. But if we change the phone number or we try to switch the info on it, you will lose those points essentially. So I'd recommend if you have points, use those up first. And then after that point, move over to your son's account or to any other account you're trying to do a joint one with.
Yeah. Make sure both of your names are in there though. So
Yeah.
if you come into the store, we're not going, I don't know. Why is Brian's name on here? So,
Very good fact.
Yes.
Very good point right there. So then, Nikki.
Oh, back to me again. I have a question from Travis. It says, with the new updated hemp law coming into effect, will your company stay in service or shut down? I'm assuming this is coming from our Virginia locations because I don't know any other hemp laws that we have coming that would affect our business. Yes, we will continue to sell products in VA. We can still sell smokable business as normal. We are working on a system for edibles to be purchased from our VA locations come July 1.
Yeah, if
And
you
we'll
are-
release more information
if
on
you're-
that at the time.
Yes. Nobody died in the background. That was a loud bang. That was
Yeah.
just the Chinaware falling off the
Yes,
shelves.
you know.
But outside of that, Virginia, if you are a Virginia customer, become a rewards member, check out what's happening because we are going to make sure we keep serving you very proudly.
Check with your local bud tenders. They will have all the information that's pertinent to this, and we'll keep you updated as we develop the program.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then coming from a customer named Shane, this is going to be a 3-parter. He starts off with, what is the ratio of negative versus positive media attention you get in the industry? Honestly, a big part of it to me is positive. When you look at like our Google reviews or our leaflet reviews, I think they kind of speak for themselves. And I always tell people that's a really good starting point. But even on top of that, with some of the media attention, and it doesn't get as much on blast as I think it could, is we tend to work with a lot of the police departments around the state, use them as a way to kind of push our product to the forefront to get the education and know out on it. So overall, I mean, unless you guys have seen anything overly all different, I don't, from my perspective of the media attention, a lot of it tends to be positive, except for when we maybe get something that happens on like one of our social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. But overall, I would say media attention itself has been pretty positive.
And I think definitely as we've grown as a business and as time has grown and as it's become more accepted, people have learned more about the products and that they actually are effective. It's definitely more positive than it ever used to be.
Very much agree on
I
that.
think in the hemp-derived THC world, the biggest thing that we've had, Trev, that's actually been concerning, and Nikki, you'll be able to vouch for this. A lot of people thought that hemp-derived THC wouldn't give similar effects to what they were buying technically off the
Yeah.
streets. And it took that conversation and education to get them to that point to understand
100%.
that hemp-derived THC does have similar effects. And then they were like, wait, your product is clean, it's third-party tested, we can verify where it comes from. And then a lot of people are like, wow, okay, we're done talking about Reggie weed because we like what you
100%.
offer.
Yeah.
And I think that media attention alone was a big stepping stone and a
For sure.
platform for where we got into.
Well, if you think about it, if our products weren't effective, we wouldn't have 17 stores in 4 different states
That's
at this
true.
point in time
Exactly right.
and continuing to grow.
Right.
It shows for itself.
Yeah.
And then to follow that up, a second part of that question was, what do you believe your main demographic is? And for me, coming from the South region, I can say it really depends on the region you're in and even city to city. But based off some basic computer analytics of our social medias, I found out that one of our leading demographics is females from the age of 28 to 35. But in general, I would say it really just kind
Moms.
of depends on where you're at. I don't think you're far off. I don't think you're far off on that. But yeah, just each city's different. Each city has its own vibe and atmosphere, and that kind of feeds into the type of demographics we pull into the city. So yeah. And then just to build off of it, third part was, have you had anyone hassled by police if they have your product on them? You know, from my experience, I've talked to some customers who have been pulled over, had gotten tickets, they went to court and dismissed them. Most times that I've ever talked with people that have had any kind of run-in or issue with the police with our products involved, usually just follow the steps that we've laid out, which is have a receipt with you. Don't use the product till you get home. Be smart about it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's easy for people. I get people asking all the time, like, so I can walk down the street, smoke this. Well, if you walk down the street and you are going to blow this in a cop's face, it's probably not going to be very good for you. So I always just tell people, be smart about it. Take a receipt, keep that proof of purchase, and then keep the product enclosed until you get home. Save yourself any type of trouble that would pop. But generally, from my experience, anybody that has had an issue, they went through the process and have seen positive results come out of it. So.
And actually, a big caveat to that is having your ID. There's a reason.
Yes.
One, we are so vigilant in carding.
Yep.
It's for customers' protection. And there are many places yet, even here in Wisconsin and Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, they do not require IDs. And that's very unsafe for people purchasing. If you do not have your ID to show that you are of legal age, you're setting yourself up for a very bad position, and that's why it's mandatory all customers must show valid ID and be of age.
Always. Exactly right.
Good
It's
question.
for your protection as well.
Yeah, very good questions, Travis. Very, very
Absolutely.
good.
And then to top it off, not so much a question, but I wanted to give a little shout out to the store we have in Oshkosh. One of our customers left us a comment saying, I've been to the store at 1060 South Kohler Street, Oshkosh, several times. Your associates are always very kind and helpful, and I enjoy talking to them. Way to go, team. So there's a little shout out to the Oshkosh store, and thanks, TJ, for letting us know.
All right. So now after seeing Morgan's story and seeing the feat that she had, that's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah.
Wild.
Definitely.
200 pounds.
Yeah, it was
And
wild.
CPS.
Yeah. During COVID, too.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the most fascinating thing about the whole story was her realizing, like, going through her health journey, hitting that healthy point, and then from that realizing she had other things going on, and then to be able to find a solution that she wanted, more so like a plant-based medicine, was just wild. Like, super nice and cool to see.
I like the mental health aspect
Yeah.
versus your physical health. Your mental has to be right. It affects your physical health and vice versa.
I like the
So-
fact that she writes her own dialogue for her life. Like, she's not
Yeah,
letting life
yeah.
hold her back. She was faced with a ton of challenges where many people would have
Mhm.
buckled. And shout out at Morgan, you drove through it, and that was impressive. And she didn't slow down, and she still is not slowing down.
Yeah.
It's awesome. She was just doing a comedy stand-up, I believe, out in California.
San Diego?
San Diego.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's why she had to.
Yeah.
That's why we had to do the pre-recording. But huge shout out to her. So
Yeah.
Also, I just want to chime in because as a person who has vets in my family, I love the aspect of her going to the honor flights 11
Yeah.
times just to go because her daughter wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
you
Mad
speak,
respect to that.
you speak in sign language because
Yeah.
of your
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
She taught her daughter sign language
Before
before
she
she could
speak.
even speak.
It stood out right away. I
It's
was
normal with younger children that can't. There's a few commands they
Yep.
learn.
Just
yeah.
amazing talents throughout.
Very much.
The woman stood up and
Yeah.
it was amazing. She took her time to come in.
Yeah.
And I was very excited.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Morgan.
Thank you,
we look
Morgan.
forward to hearing more from you and
Yeah.
getting you back here on the show. Maybe you'll help us co-host one of these.
Go.
Be fun. All right. So Little reintroduction of what we are closing tonight and what is coming up next. Something big next. We want to give a big shout out. Senator Melissa Agard from the 16th District of Wisconsin is going to be on our podcast next month.
She currently has her grassroots tour going within the state of Wisconsin.
Yep, you can check out Grassroots Tour. I believe the next place she's going to is Wausau?
Yeah, Wausau on the 1st, I think.
Correct. She is one of the leading, well, she's the minority leader in the House, and she is pushing for legalization of marijuana and or regulation. So that is going to be something big for many people that are wondering to hear it directly from a state senator here in the state. That's going to be pretty big.
Super exciting.
We
Super
want to
exciting.
hear a bunch of customer questions. If you do have questions, get those questions submitted to us before we get the senator on, so we have a chance to potentially ask the senator some of those customer
No
questions.
promises on that, though.
Yeah, no promises. We have to vet certain things on that.
Absolutely.
But coming back, Trevor, thank you for coming from the South. It's
Oh,
always
yeah.
great. You killed it on Channel 5 this morning.
Yeah.
Shout
We
out to
tried.
WFRV.
We
Yeah.
try.
You and Nikki, that was your first time. Nikki was all cool as a cucumber on it.
See you, Nikki.
Oh, yeah, Trevor did great.
I'll take it.
And we thank you all again for putting up with some of the technical difficulties. But here we are, season 2, episode 2. We look forward to seeing you. Remember to like, share, comment. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. Brandon loves to give out that
Instagram.
swag.
Yeah.
And get out there, get that free swag. And we look forward to seeing you in our dispensaries. Thank you all again and have a great, blessed evening.
Night.